Imagine you do everything right. You answer her texts within 5 seconds. You cancel your personal plans the moment she calls. You sit there for hours listening to her complain about her life. You genuinely believe you are building a grand love story. Then, out of nowhere, she goes completely cold. She pulls back and drops a line that cuts like a knife. "I just view you as a friend." Have you ever found yourself trapped in this brutal, humiliating cycle? It hurts far worse than a clean, sudden breakup, because you are left standing in the ruins of your own effort, begging the universe to tell you what you did wrong. The answer to that question is going to make you incredibly uncomfortable. But if you want to stop losing the women you care about, you need to hear it straight, without the empty phrases or the typical, generic dating advice you have already heard 1,000 times. True attraction does not live in logic. It never did. If you keep trying to bargain for a woman's affection using rational arguments or endless availability, you will keep reaching conclusions that do not match reality. This video is designed to weaponize a fundamental law of behavioral psychology: the rule of controlled availability. By the time we finish today, you will possess 3 absolute assets. First, the hard neuroscientific proof of why your constant niceness is actively killing her sexual desire. Second, a simplified behavioral blueprint that keeps you out of the passive passenger seat without requiring you to act like a rocket scientist. And finally, an exact, field-tested communication script to deploy the moment she pulls away. Pay close attention, because most men completely sabotage their own success at the exact moment a woman tries to get close to them. Later in this video, specifically around the 15-minute mark, I am going to expose that exact psychological tripwire and show you how a high-value man maintains his ground. Do not skip a single second of this timeline, unless you are comfortable remaining a permanent backup option. What if the very effort you are putting into winning her heart is the exact reason she is repelled by you? Think about it clearly. When you make yourself completely available, when you adapt your entire schedule to match hers, and when you clear out any potential friction before it even appears, you think you are showing devotion. In reality, her primal psychology reads that behavior as one thing: desperate need. And neediness acts as an immediate off switch for attraction. Look at the dating landscape today. It looks like a row of bowling pins standing perfectly straight, completely static, waiting patiently for a woman to throw the ball and select one. Many men willingly become those pins. They stand there, offering endless comfort, hoping that by being the last man standing, they will win by default. But the brutal truth of female psychology is that women do not want a passive target that just waits to be knocked down or picked up. They want a man who owns the entire alley. When you guarantee your presence, her brain stops activating the mechanisms of pursuit and desire. You become cheap, abundant, and entirely predictable. You become a discount item on a clearance rack, and nobody fantasizes about owning something that is always on sale. But why does the human brain biologically reject what is given away for free? The answer lies in a deep neurochemical mechanism that standard relationship gurus completely ignore. Let us move past the surface-level advice and look at the actual science. The legendary neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky conducted groundbreaking research on the behavior of dopamine in the brain. Most people think dopamine is released when you get a reward. That is fundamentally incorrect. Dopamine is the hormone of anticipation. It is the chemical fuel for the chase, the hunger, the drive to acquire what is not yet guaranteed. Sapolsky discovered that when a reward is 100% guaranteed, dopamine levels remain entirely flat. The brain feels no excitement, no urgency, and no desire to move. Conversely, when the reward is completely impossible, dopamine also drops to 0. The absolute, highest peak of dopamine release occurs when the probability of receiving the reward is exactly 50%. This is the sweet spot of controlled uncertainty. This is the psychological territory of the maybe, when you step away from your phone and pull back your constant presence to focus on your own path. You trigger this exact neurochemical state inside her mind. She suddenly notices a space that did not exist before. She starts asking herself questions. Where is he? Who is he with? Does he still care about me? The moment those questions enter her mind, she is no longer passive. She is actively investing her mental and emotional energy into you, even when you are miles away. If you are realizing right now that you have spent months playing the role of the desperate bowling pin or the free oxygen in someone else's life, hit the like button and subscribe to Beyond Attraction Psychology right now. I am not here to coddle your ego or tell you sweet lies. I am here to give you the cold, hard behavioral frameworks you need to reclaim your masculine authority. Now, a lot of guys hear this scientific breakdown and instantly jump to the wrong conclusion, thinking they should just play childish mind games, intentionally ignore her messages, and act completely cold. This is an absolute disaster. If you apply this theory like a robot, you are executing what I call toxic, calculated coldness, and it will destroy your relationships. Women possess an incredibly sharp evolutionary radar for male insecurity. When you sit by your phone, looking at her text, and deliberately set a timer for 2 hours before replying just to, "Look busy," you are putting on a performance. It is a fake persona, and that anxious tension will bleed through every single word you eventually type. Let us simplify this completely. I know some of you might feel like one of our community members, Augie, who recently commented that this psychological stuff sounds so complicated, you need to be a rocket scientist to pull it off. Let me tell you straight from man to man, it is not rocket science. It is fundamental stoicism. It comes down to a brilliant point made by another viewer in our community, Scooter, who noted the absolute power of focusing entirely on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. Authentic absence requires zero acting. You do not pretend to be busy. You are actually busy. You do not fake having a life. You actually build a life worth living. When your phone is face down, it should be because you are sweating under a heavy barbell, closing a business deal, or completely locked into a creative project that fulfills your masculine purpose. That is authentic absence, and its weight is felt immediately. What happens when the script finally flips? She senses that authentic space, and she actively begins to pursue you. Welcome to the dangerous peak of the mountain. The 15-minute tripwire I warned you about earlier. When a woman notices your shift from an anxious pleaser to a grounded, self-contained man, her behavior will shift too. She will step forward. She will start checking in on you, remembering small details from weeks ago, and trying to secure your attention. This is the ultimate proof of deep emotional attachment beginning to take root. But this is also where 90% of men completely lose their minds and ruin everything. The moment they feel her getting closer, their internal relationship anxiety spikes. They misinterpret her outreach as a green light to instantly accelerate, smother her with attention, demand a relationship definition, and pour on a sudden burst of intense energy. The illusion of the secure, independent man instantly shatters, revealing the same desperate boy who was begging for validation on day one. She senses this sudden wave of pressure, panics, and retreats permanently. To survive this peak, you must maintain total energetic continuity. Let me give you the exact real-world script. When she notices your absence and sends a text like, "Where have you been lately? You completely forgot about me," Do not stumble over yourself trying to reassure her by typing, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I miss you so much. I've just been super busy with work. Let us hang out tonight." That completely kills the mystery. Instead, take a deep breath, remain centered in your own gravity, and text her back with calm, unshakable poise. "I've been fully locked into completing a new project lately. I have a small opening in my schedule this Saturday evening. If you want to grab a coffee and catch up, let me know." Look at the psychology of that response. You do not over-explain. You do not apologize for having a life. You hold your boundary, offer a specific window of availability, and place the choice entirely in her hands. The final takeaway you must integrate into your core identity is this: a woman's romantic desire does not respond to fearful accommodation or desperate chasing. It only responds to internal solidity and the undeniable reality of your own fulfillment. Stop trying to build a desperate trap just to catch a single bird. Spend your energy clearing the land, planting the trees, and cultivating a magnificent, thriving garden. When the garden is real, the birds will fly to you naturally, and they will choose to stay because the environment provides both peace and strength. You have absolute, exclusive control over your time, your focus, and your personal evolution. Choose to stop negotiating your value for anyone else's temporary approval. Start building your foundation today. But remember, mastering your availability is only 50% of the attraction equation. If you want to decode the exact two raw psychological reasons that force a woman to completely lower her guard and cross the line from standard attraction to absolute lifelong emotional commitment, and understand why 90% of men destroy their chances right at the finish line, you cannot afford to miss the next piece of this puzzle. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now. I will see you over there.